Welcome to the Phenomenal Fan Podcast, episode 8. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We got a lot of things to cover in this episode. Number one, Super Bowl just ended. We're going to give you our recap, our reactions, our takeaways from that game because it was a pretty good game. But we're going to dive into more detail about it and really get into the nitty gritty about the Super Bowl 56 between the Rams and the Bengals. We're also going to get into some NFL power rankings for next season. Way too early, but we don't care. We're going straight into the NFL power rankings, who we think is going to be dominating next year in the NFL. On top of that, we're going to give you some position player rankings from the NFL. The season's over. All the players have made their big impacts, and we're going to give you our group or our list of players we think that are going to be at the top of their positions next season. And finally, we're going to get into some baseball stuff. Always love talking baseball, but unfortunately, there's not a ton going on still, but maybe moving in the right direction. I think, so maybe we'll see. But either way, thank you guys for tuning in, and let's get right into the action, man. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone in between, like I said last time, welcome back to the Phenomenal Fan Podcast. Jared, before we get into anything, first of all, great to see you. It's always a pleasure.
Oh,
How
you look older.
Yeah, my birthday passed. Between recordings, so yeah.
You look old as shit.
Yeah, you know. What is it? What are the grandparents? What is that line they always give you? Do you feel like you're 11 years old? No, Grandpa, I don't. Nothing changed.
I feel almost the exact same.
Yeah,
actually,
that's always cracked me.
Now that you're saying it.
Yeah, that's always cracked me up too. I said that I think when I turned 21. Like the day that, like my 21st birthday, maybe like, you know, a few days after, I go into the liquor store and buy a fucking 30 pack of beer. And I walk out and I get in the car with my buddies. I'm like, what is different about me today than 4 days ago when I was 20 years old? Like nothing, absolutely nothing. My maturity level doesn't just spike because I turned 21. All of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'll drink, you know, with limitations. I'll be really responsible. Like, fucking stupid. These years are so arbitrary. I mean, hey, I'm 25. I guess I can rent a car, even though I'd have been able to go overseas and get my fucking limbs blown off for the last 7 years. But yeah, I guess now I can rent a car. So yeah, birthday passed by, the Super Bowl passed by, and we're gonna get straight into that. But Jared, before we actually break down the game, how did the bets overall play out for you on Sunday?
You know, they could have been really exciting if they would have been able to get down there and convert like that first down and get down and kick a field goal.
Yeah.
To go to OT.
Yeah.
I would have been right on point, assuming the Rams won in overtime.
Okay.
I just had that over. I had that all over of 45.5.
Yep.
And remember I told you how I bracketed everything in?
Yep.
Had the Rams
money line.
The Rams to win.
Yep.
The Bengals to cover that spread. I had over 45, under 57. So it almost worked out really nicely. But I even went back and hedge bet it, did the exact same thing, but flip-flopped it where I had Rams plus points and Bengals money line just as like a hedge.
Yeah.
Because the payouts were pretty damn good. So so that didn't hit. I had some player props hit. I had like an OBJ, I did an alt of over 50, which so thank God that.
Yeah, that would have been
50 because he had 52 and like it looked like he was about to go for 200. So, but yeah, decent day. The Super Bowl is like one of those things though. It's like if you bet every day, or like not every day, but you know you bet weekly, you get all of like the riffraff people on the outside to come in and bet all the crazy props and stuff that usually don't bet, you know. So it's like an overly glamorous, overly hyped thing because in my mind, I'm not going to bet more. I might bet a little bit more on the Super Bowl because it's like a bigger like entertainment value, like a bunch of people around, you know.
Yep.
But like overall, it's kind of funny because everyone's like emphasizes how sick the Super Bowl is, but at the end of the day, it's numbers. Like you're trying to get overs and unders. It's just a game with a glorified like it doesn't affect you as a
It's got the hype, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I had
how about you? How'd you do?
I did below average, but not like miserable. Last year's Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the Bucks, I just hammered everything Chiefs. Every one of their guys to score, all the Chiefs spread, fucking over, like all the shit that you know, none of it happened. So I had a horrible game last year. This year, put down a little bit less, a little bit more of a responsible gambler. Parlayed a few things together, had some single bets. I mean, the one that we both said was going to be locked didn't even really come close with Joe Burrow over 11.5 rushing yards. I hit that as a single individual bet, didn't come close. I was really surprised by that. I mean, I really thought he would have scrambled out a lot more because he was under a lot of pressure and he did scramble for a few. But I don't know. That one was pretty surprising to me. But I did put down some on Stafford to throw a pick. That happened. Obviously, he threw 2. I put some down on, I think one of the bets I put was Tyler Boyd versus Van Jefferson. Tyler Boyd to have the longer reception, and that one hit by like 4 yards. He had 16-yard catch versus Van Jefferson had like a 12-yarder. And then I had a big parlay. It was a 10-leg parlay, but it was all very like how we talked about with kind of the alts, except for it had Cooper Kupp touchdown, Odell Beckham touchdown. It had under the alts like 57.5, like something super safe. I just bought a bunch of points on it. I had Stafford over 240 passing, Burrow over 230 passing, and all those hit. And then the last 2 legs I needed, I got one of them. It was, let's see. Oh yeah, I had Jamar Chase anytime touchdown, didn't happen. I had Evan McPherson versus Matt Gay. McPherson to have more kicking points than Matt Gay, so that hit. But my 10 leg parlay, Jared, $5 put down to win $485. Cooper Kupp anytime touchdown, bingo. OBJ anytime touchdown, bingo. Burrow over 229, Stafford over 249, Jamar Chase over 64, Bengals over 16.5 as a team, Jamar Chase over 64, if I already said that, under 57.5, CJ Uzama over 9.5 receiving, he had 11, but the last leg on that was a CJ Uzama touchdown, and that did not happen. So I went 9 for 10 on that parlay that had plus 9,000 odds, and it didn't hit. So that was a little bit unfortunate because I don't know. I feel like if the Bengals would have, I don't know, got that first down, maybe kept going down the field, looked for Uzama as a red zone target. I mean, if that would have happened, I would have lost my fucking mind. Yeah. But you know, that was grasping for straws at that point. And then I did take Bengals money line. That was my biggest bet of the day. I just right before kickoff, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Bengals are winning. And I put, I mean, not a huge amount. I put like $25 on it, but you know, I was like, let's go. I mean, I wanted to pick a team to win, and we'll get into that in a second, but you know, that one, it did okay. I did not bad. I made about like half my money back. So, you know, it's fun though. It's fun to put those bets down. The one I had on there was first play of the game, run or pass. I did pass. Of course, it was a fucking run. I put last play of the game to be a quarterback kneel, yes or no. I put no. Of course, it was yes. And, the one that I was like really, I thought was for sure going to happen was the jersey number of the first touchdown score. I thought it was going to be over 23.5, but I didn't really take into consideration that Cooper Kupp and OBJ both have numbers under 23. But I thought they'd throw it to a different receiver besides those two guys, or a tight end or fucking somebody. But I don't know. That one didn't hit. So
yeah, I have this one for you, Ryan. That was frustrating because it was all things that like very well
could have happened.
And I'm actually kind of confused. No, that's right. Of course, that's right. So one of them was Joe Burrow to have 2+ passing touchdowns, but guess who had the other one?
Joe Mixon.
Yep. So this parlay was 11 picks plus 35,000. And I was on Sunday. I put it in Sunday, drinking a little bit too. Like, so I was on the loose. Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to put like 10, like, you know, 5-10 different parlays in and see what happens. So Cooper Kupp anytime touchdown. Rams 6+ sacks.
What'd they get?
Bengals 2. They had like 7.
7, yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Rams or Bengals 2+ sacks. Rams money line. Bengals plus 14.5. Burrow over 254. Burrow 2 passing touchdowns didn't happen because the Mixon one. Burrow rushing yards that we were high on
11.5. Yeah,
because he just didn't. He got like
didn't run.
He didn't run really at all. Uzama over 9.5 yards. And then Kupp over 99.5 yards.
And he got like
so Uzama, so like obviously Joe only threw 1 touchdown, didn't rush the ball. Cup only ended up going for
like 94 or something. I think 94, 95. Yeah.
Yeah, he got 92. He had 92 yards.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but yeah, no, my day was kind of full of them like that, where I had like you know what I think is some rat bastard shit that I want to talk about real quick.
What
is books advertising a player like they're just going to be like 100% full participant without any type of like, and there not being like a ton of articles like CJ Uzomah. I know like everyone knew that his knee was banged up, but like
he like didn't play.
Nobody knew. Yeah, no, they had in like the third quarter they said that he was on a snap count, but there was no articles that I saw before the game that had anything to do with him
snap
being
count.
On snap count. So that's like one of those things that when the book just offers him up like he's just a full participant, like I feel like there should be some sort of like, I don't know, like a fantasy football thing where there's gotta be a little asterisk like where like, hey, he's only playing 50% of this, because it's like misleading to have his yardage as like normal yardage and then he's gonna be on a snap count the whole time.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, I thought the Cam Akers like carry split like wasn't like, obviously Cam Akers had like dominated the carries, but he only had 13. But it felt like Darrell Henderson was in there, like he was in there quite a bit. But they threw the ball a lot, they threw the ball 40 times. So I thought like that was kind of a misleading over under, considering that you're giving away like 30% of the carries or 40% of the carries basically to Sonny Michel and Darrell Henderson combined. Like that seems kind of misleading, especially when like books don't even have like a not that you would bet a Darrell Henderson or a Sonny Michel over or under,
right?
But like it just kind of feels weird that the lines weren't that well adjusted for the fact that it was going to be split carries.
For sure.
I guarantee they're so tied in with the NFL that I guarantee they knew that was going to be the case.
Probably. Yeah.
So,
that sounds seems right. Yeah. I mean, that's a good segment, obviously, or segue, I should say, into the actual game itself. So, as everybody knows, the Rams beat the Bengals 23-20. Jared, I don't know if it's just me, and this may not be the best way to like start off this conversation, but I was just very. This game ended, and I walked away. Similar feeling I had after the Chiefs and the Bills game, except for the fact that the Chiefs and the Bills game was like amazingly exciting, a lot of action. But at the end of that game, I just was disappointed that the Chiefs ended up winning that game when Joe Burrow played Josh Allen played so well for the Bills. I just walked out of that game and I was like, man, that's such a good game, but just like not really how I think many people wanted it to go. In this game, I felt similar, except it was even more boring. There was just this year's Super Bowl, in my opinion, was slightly disappointing. And
I thought it was disappointing.
It
was very disappointing.
I thought it was more so not necessarily. I mean, we could talk about the halftime show, right? Great show. Everybody loved it. I think it was difficult, though, because there was just so much hype. There's always so much hype that goes into every Super Bowl. And looking back at the last few seasons and the Super Bowl games, I've started to notice that, like, after each game, I felt kind of the same way, where I walked out of it and I was thinking to myself, that was just not as exciting as I thought it was going to be. And maybe that's my fault. Maybe it's the media hyping it up, or I don't know. But the Super Bowl halftime show is great. I'm not trying to sound like a downer or anything, but people acting like that is like the greatest spectacle gathering of human beings they've ever seen in their life also might be a little too much. It was really entertaining. It was really cool to see all those guys performing, but it was fucking like 12 minutes of action. It's not like it was this like 45-minute spectacle of these 5 or whatever, however many people were up there, 6 of them, right? I mean, you had Kendrick, Eminem, Mary J, Dr. Dre, Snoop, 50, like it's an amazing group of people. But I didn't feel like it was that, it was worth the ridiculous amount of hype. But then again, comparing it to other Super Bowl halftime shows, I would say it's probably the best that I've seen. But it just didn't seem, there was just so much hype for everything in this game, and it just didn't quite live up to the expectations that I had,
I think maybe that's just the thing that happens is like, especially like this one, everyone was excited about the matchup, and I think that like it really is. It's like you overhype it so much in your head that you think it's going to be like pure joy that like it doesn't really live up to that feeling. You don't get that feeling watching the game. Like, and that game was fucking kind of boring. Like it was
very boring.
It felt like it was either there was either like a big play that was kind of felt bogus-ish, or
in the second half,
3 and outs.
Jared, in the second half, after the first touchdown, the one play, 75-yard touchdown to start the third quarter, which we'll get into the call about that in a second. Stafford throws a pick right after that. Then the Bengals kick a field goal. The Rams kick a field goal. And after that, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 punts in a row. 7 punts in a row. I mean, that's boring. I don't know what else to say. I don't mean to dig on these teams because they're both playing good defense and doing whatever, but I thought the Rams were supposed to, I know they didn't have OBJ. I thought the Rams were supposed to be this massively high-powered, dominant force, and they just really weren't. And I guess when it comes down to it, they got the ball in the fourth quarter, and Stafford took them down the field and scored the go-ahead touchdown. But it was just very underwhelming. And then on top of that, you were mentioning it, like the big play aspect, right? There was 2 big plays for the Bengals. The one deep ball early in the game down the sideline for Jamar Chase, makes a ridiculously insane one-hand catch. And right when that happened, I was like, dude, this is going to be awesome. This game's going to be so sick. There's going to be ridiculous jump ball, one-handed, fucking just crazy plays the whole game. And then that was about it until, again, the first play of the third quarter, Bengals take a deep shot. And was it T. Higgins? Yeah, T. Higgins goes up for the ball. And, I mean, he grabbed Jalen Ramsey's face mask. It was obviously, like, inadvertent, but the bottom line is it's a fucking penalty. And they didn't call it. I felt like everything we just talked about, the lack of action, the punts, the hype, everything else combined with everybody saw and noticed it, but the refs kind of ultimately ended up being kind of the story of this game, which also is not what you want when you're watching a game. Like, again, when you watch the Bills and the Chiefs game, there was not one person that finished watching that game that was thinking, oh, the Bills got screwed by the refs, or the Chiefs got screwed by the refs. The refs weren't even a conversation after that game, and that's why it made it so entertaining. With this game, right on that one play, you're thinking, oh, huge play. The Bengals have got all this momentum. And as soon as they show the replay, everyone looks around. Should have been a penalty. Touchdown shouldn't have counted. And like, that is a huge call to not make in that situation. It's a 75-yard touchdown in the Super Bowl. To miss an offensive PI like that is huge. And then you go later in the game on that final drive that the Rams had, there was a holding call on the linebacker for the Bengals on Cooper Kupp, and it just was not a hold. Like, he did not hold him. It was a bad call. Some say it's a makeup call. Other people claim, oh, NFL's rigged, haha, whatever. Maybe, probably not, right? We joke about it. But the bottom line is there was a few plays where, man, it was just very, very anticlimactic. And that second half was about as boring as it fucking comes, man. Touchdown on the first play, and then a combined 6 points after that until the Rams had the ball for their last possession, basically, and went down the field and scored a touchdown. Now, that Stafford no-look throw was fucking sick, right? Everybody knows that. That no-look throw was fucking sick. But besides that, like, it was just Cooper Kupp. It was just Cooper Kupp running the ball on fourth down, catching passes, and it ended with a turnover on downs. You were hoping the Bengals could go down the field and tie it. All in all, I was just very, very disappointed with how the Super Bowl played out at the end of the day. 23-20. Everybody was hoping for a 45-41 game, or just something that was better than that. I guess you could have assumed that with the Rams defense, but again, the Rams defense, I don't know. They had a bunch of sacks, but I don't know. Aaron Donald was a non-factor for the first half of the game. He was a nothing. Granted, they were double teaming him, but he was nothing. And then the last, the fourth down play that the Bengals had, he ends up coming up and making a big play, but it just...
he kind of took over the game actually in the second half.
Yeah,
Quite a bit. He was causing all sorts of disruptions.
for sure.
I don't know, man. I also going back to the refs too. Like that was another thing. Okay, so one, you said there were 7 punts in a row. Not just where they punt, they were like a lot of them were like 3 and outs. It felt
Yes.
like, and like
Yeah, it
and
literally
was, like,
went
bad,
that field goal.
bad play call.
The Rams kicked this field goal to make it 16-20. Rams are down. 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. 5 plays, 3 and out, and then 7 play punt for the Bengals. That is fucking brutal.
It's and that's what made the game feel like a lot like at one point, and the beginning wasn't all that great either. But I just remember looking at my phone and saying the Super Bowl started 48 minutes ago, and there was like 4 minutes left in the fucking second quarter.
Yeah,
and I was like,
what's
why
going
is this
on?
game like? Why is it cooking? And also, I saw like a blatant missed time, like they like didn't stop the clock. It was like with 2 minutes left at one point, or like a minute. It was like a minute and 54 seconds left. Somebody caught a ball and went out of bounds, and my buddy called it out. Because why didn't they just stop the clock right there? He caught the ball and just ran out of bounds, and they just didn't stop the clock. And I was like, why is this game just motoring through?
Yeah.
And then the refs don't. There had been 4 penalties in the entire Super Bowl until that fucking last drive, and they give them 2 chances at scoring that touchdown.
Yep.
The Rams score the touchdown. They go. The Bengals have a chance to go back down and get it. And then the Rams win the Super Bowl, and you got OBJ crying on the sideline, and it's in LA. And I was like, this is fucking stupid. Like it felt more like a WWF, WWE bullshit fucking football game.
100%.
So theatrical, everything. I'm sorry, but the fucking, I don't know how I feel about The Rock anymore, but at the same time, like he was on the field before kickoff. Like these guys are waiting to kick off, and the guy's standing on the field, and he's yelling, and like I get it's supposed to be a hype thing, but it's like, okay, LA, chill the fuck out. Okay, like can we still have a football game? Can we not go so fucking Hollywood that's overbearing and fake?
It felt like exactly what you said.
So Hollywood.
It felt like
so fake.
The whole Super Bowl felt like a WWE match to me. And even more so, the more that you talk about disappointment, OBJ tore his fucking ACL. And like you said, he was on pace probably to have 150, 200 receiving yards. Obviously, he was tearing it up. Injury, that puts a damper on the game. Stafford gets ankles rolled up on. He's fucking limping around. That puts a damper on the game. Burrow, more than likely, dude, he's got some sort of torn ligament in his knee. The way he reacted on that one play where he got rolled up to, he's screaming in agony. That puts a damper on the game. So overall, there was, like you said, there were so many theatrical moments and so many flamboyant personalities and so little actual substance to the game that it felt like it was a scripted WWE match that unfortunately had a predetermined outcome. Is that the case? Is there a predetermined outcome? Probably not. But people are more inclined to feel that way when there are 4 penalties the entire game. One of which, by the way, early on was a guy running onto the fucking field for the Bengals in street clothes and fucking flip-flops and a hoodie, and he gets a penalty. So essentially there's 3 actual on the field game related penalties until the 4th quarter. And they throw what, 3 or 4? 3 or 4 on the final drive?
Yeah, and one of them was like a delay a game or something.
Exactly.
It was ridiculous. There's no holding. There's nothing. And that's what I think we've talked about that on other fucking like some of the other podcasts. You can hide in fucking plain sight because people always go like, oh, the refs, and all you have to do is not mention it and not talk about it, and it fucking disappears. People will remember OBJ crying and The Rock and all that shit. They don't fucking remember that the fact that the game was literally manipulated by the referees. And it's like, I hate to say it, but like there's 4 fucking penalties on the last drive. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like it went in the Bengals' favor too. Like he threw Jalen Ramsey on the ground, but I just hate that. I hate how referees fucking can control the game. Like it should have to be right. Like if you're gonna call a fucking penalty or like I don't know how you make the game flow
100%.
Like game flow without double checking, or if you're double checking a penalty or double checking a no call. But this isn't the first time this has happened in the NFL. It's like go back to the Rams and Saints game when the fucking they crushed the Saints guy. That's to go to the Super Bowl. It's like I don't know. Maybe it's because it's a bigger market. I don't know, but they're obviously making more money the fact that the LA was in it.
100%.
I don't know. I just feel like,
and I don't think it was
shitty. There's some shittiness about it.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, it's definitely just kind of stained. And I think everybody that said this was a good game, I just disagree. I disagree with that. I don't think it was a good game. I think it was an average football game at best. Like I said, injuries, penalties, all that shit that unfolded. And the commercials were even pretty average for the most part. There was not one or two commercials that stood out to me where I was like, this commercial is fucking hilarious. Coinbase probably dominated the commercial game with that fucking QR code that was just bouncing around the screen. I was watching that unfold and I was like, this is brilliant. That was the only commercial I thought, this one is a great use of time and space and everything else. The rest of it was just, like you said, not only the game, but the commercials. It was just a celebrity fest. I mean, holy shit. It was just every single possible celebrity you could even remotely think of was at that game. It just did not feel like a football game. It didn't feel like the Chiefs Bills. So, in my opinion, I mean, Chiefs Bills was the best football game of the year by far. And I don't even know if this game ends up falling in the top 10, considering all the amazing games that unfolded throughout the season and in the playoffs. I mean, shit, this is probably the sixth or seventh best game in the postseason, not even in the entire season. The Super Bowl is the sixth or seventh best game in the postseason. So I don't know how people can say that it was a great game. It was okay, but it was not entertaining by any means. And again, are we being spoiled by saying that? Probably, right? I mean, how many games have unfolded and ended 23-20? But to my point about the Super Bowls before that, this year, 23-20. Last year, high-powered Chiefs offense. Everyone's looking forward to seeing the Mahomes duel with Tom Brady. Really disappointing. Chiefs couldn't do shit. Year before that, Chiefs 49ers. Mahomes doesn't even play well and ends up getting a win because the 49ers just weren't that good of a team. And that game, to me, again, a lot of hype. Chiefs are amazing. Ended up being kind of average. Year before that, 13-3 Patriots over the Rams. So it's like these last 4 or 5 Super Bowls, a lot of hype, not much substance in the actual game itself. This game also, to me, what made it not fun is that nobody really played that well. Like Cooper Kupp played a great football game. Odell was playing a good game until he got hurt. T. Higgins had 4 catches for 100 and 2 touchdowns, so I guess T. Higgins had a pretty good game. But if you take Cooper Kupp and T. Higgins out of this game, nobody played that well. Burrow threw 1 touchdown.
The running game was kind of miserable. I mean,
nobody ran.
He had 70 yards.
He had 70 yards, but the Rams couldn't run the ball. Stafford had 2 picks. One of his picks was just like we talked about before. He's got a tendency of it. Horrible throw. Just a miserable throw. He points the guy out in the corner of the end zone and then just throws it to him. Underthrows it by 4 yards and it gets picked. Nobody played that well. The one thing you can take away from this game, as we know, and we've said it a billion times, Cooper Kupp is a fucking freak. And we'll get into our player rankings here shortly. But overall, my takeaway on the Super Bowl was no one played well, injuries, referees, low to medium scoring. Very disappointed with the overall product that was given to us in the Super Bowl. And that might be me being stuck up and right. I mean, we got fucking spoiled in the postseason. We got spoiled to death with all these upsets, with all these games ending in the most fucking crazy fashion. One possession, final play field goals, right? I mean, like you said, I just hope, or I wish the Bengals would have been able to go down and at least give McPherson a shot at a 64-yarder. You know what I mean? Just something where you're like, okay, now it's over.
The end of just a sack and like my last little bit about it too is that fucking 3rd and 1 call.
They just run it up the middle.
They just run it up the middle with not even Joe Mixon, with
Samaje Perine. Oh God!
Run it right up the middle, and there's no push. And there's no, I don't know, it was fucking a miserable run. I would rather watch paint dry than watch that run. That's
I agree.
How unsuccessful it was. It wasn't like someone made like a crazy play. The hole just got kind of jammed up and they like kind of rolled up on him and he just fell. It was just a dog shit play. And then you have one chance for Burrow to not get sacked.
Yeah, that's the last thing I'll say. if it's 4th down and 1 and you're going to throw the ball, first of all, throw it short. And we'll touch, actually, it's a good segment to that part I want to talk about, but throw the ball short. Put the ball in open field, put it in space, but to have Burrow take a shotgun snap and then drop back, fucking 5-step drop, like, if you're going to have him do that, or you're going to make that kind of play call, that's fine, but you need to have 5 down linemen and 2 tight ends blocking. Literally 7 guys down blocking to double team every fucking guy that's Pat. You need to double team Vaughn. You need to double team Aaron Donald. You need to double team Leonard Floyd. Like, everybody needs to be double teamed to make sure, if you're going to throw it, that he has time to throw the ball. And I know Aaron Donald is a fucking freak, okay? I get it. But horrible play call, because then in transition to the small segment I wanted to touch on, there's a meme, or not even a meme, there's a picture going around about Jamar Chase being open, quote unquote, open down the field on that final 4th and 1 play because Jalen Ramsey fell down. At that moment that Jamar Chase was open, first of all, he's 45 fucking yards down the field. Why is he so far down there? If anything, throw him a fucking screen behind the line of scrimmage and let him make a play. Jump in the air, do something. But he's 45 yards down the field and he's open. And Jalen Ramsey, yes, is on the ground. Joe Burrow's also on the ground already. The ball's in the fucking air. For a receiver to be open, he needs to be open while the quarterback has the ball and is looking for him. That is the definition of open. He was not fucking open. And the meme or the picture that's going around, if only Joe Burrow had more time. How much time did he need? Jamar Chase is 45 yards down the field. Are you guys saying, if only he had more time? How much more time? 9 seconds? Like, what a stupid play call. Run slants, run a screen, run a shovel pass, something with your playmakers. And that's where I feel like the Chiefs, in all honesty, and this is not a shit on the Bengals, but I feel like the Rams would have lost the Super Bowl to the Bills or the Chiefs. They would have lost by 25 points to the Bills. Because the Bills have a high-powered offense, and their defense is fucking good. Good. And if the game unfolded the exact same way it did for the Rams on offense, with the exact same statistics and the exact same numbers, Cooper Kupp, OBJ getting hurt, all those things, they'd have scored 23 points, and the Bills would have scored 45 fucking points. I guarantee it. Same with the Chiefs. If the Chiefs are faced with a 4th and 1, shovel pass to Travis Kelce, screen pass to Tyreek Hill, anything, motion, something, for fuck's sake. It was so frustrating. And that's just a microcosm of the whole game, I think. It's just like, man, didn't love it, didn't love it.
Yeah, but wasn't, like you said, tough for him to live up to the hype, but it definitely did not live up to the hype.
No, didn't live up to it.
And the Hollywood touch that we saw, I don't know. I just fucking, it was, you know what that game was? It was plastic. There's got to be some
100%
words on what that game was.
100%.
It was just like LA. Everything about it was LA and fake and plastic.
Super
and shitty, but like.
It was a superficial game to me. It was a superficial game.
Yeah.
It was just very just a lot of show and not a lot of substance.
LA just happens to be at their home field. It's
yeah, man. Like, for fuck's sake.
I would just love the truth.
Yeah.
I would just love to know, just to be able to just a tapped phone call.
For sure.
Just admit that they're fucking scripting the outcomes of the game, at least, because I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how it felt.
So then
plastic.
Yeah. So then you have this fucking, you have this, game unfold the way it does. You have to sit through it. It's not ideal. You don't love the outcome. And then you have to sit here and go on Twitter and read a tweet from LeBron James. Now, LeBron James is an amazing basketball player. And actually, to be honest with you, his commercial in the Super Bowl was pretty fucking cool. The one with Crypto.com where he's talking to the 16-year-old version of himself. I mean, that's a fucking cool commercial, right? I watched it. I thought, damn, that's really cool CGI. It's a cool concept. But then the Rams win this fucking plastic, superficial game that we just talked about. And he has the fucking audacity to fire off a tweet that says, we, meaning the Lakers, Dodgers and Rams should all do a joint parade together with a live concert afterwards to end it. City of Champions with a bunch of fucking trophy emojis and wing emojis. Ring emojis, excuse me. Let's just break that down real quick. Jared, let me ask you. The Lakers win the NBA Finals last year?
No, they did not. Actually, last time that they won one, in order to play in the game, you had to wear fucking big mouse ears on top of your head.
Yep. So,
because it was Mickey Mouse.
The Lakers didn't win the last championship. Jared, did the Dodgers win the last World Series?
Nope.
The Dodgers even play? The Dodgers even play in the last World Series?
No, they did not. And also, in order to play in that World Series, you had to wear Mickey Mouse ears.
The one the Dodgers did win, right? The one the Dodgers did actually win is, I mean, about as Mickey Mouse as it fucking comes. For God's sake. He has the fucking...
Was it a 60-game MLB season?
60-game season. 2 years ago, they won it. And he has the fucking gall to send a tweet. We, Dodgers, and Rams... Like, what if there's a fucking parade next week? And the Lakers are just fucking... City of Champions while they're sitting in 9th place in the Western Conference right now. Now, I'm not saying LeBron needs to, because there's a video of him dancing to the halftime show, right? And somebody sent the video or quoted the video, and they're like, "Wow, pretty crazy for LeBron to be, dancing when his team's in 9th place in the Western Conference." I'm not asking him to walk around miserable if his team is not the most recent champion. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he's not the most recent fucking champion, so he shouldn't be acting like they need to have a full city. By the way, City of Champions. Wow, what a statement that is. If you want to tally up the actual number of championships in the city of LA in the 21st century, how many is it? The Dodgers have one. The Lakers have a few, right? Because of Kobe Bryant.
But we could put asterisks next to the last two before even the way the Super Bowl went. I want to put an asterisk next to the fucking Rams one too, because it was just so fucking stuffy.
Oh, dude.
And plastic. No, but the other two were Mickey Mouse bullshit.
So bad, dude.
It's like you have bubble basketball, and you have bubble basketball,
bubble baseball too,
NBA
to be honest.
NBA title and BS baseball, where you have 60-game season, you're 100 games short of a regular.
No fans. You
basically played, and I get it. Like they did what they had. They played with what they could. But
right.
Like,
you can't hold it to the same weight. You can't hold it. You can't hold it to the same weight. Yeah. So
because for all you know, you play 160 games. You don't have all your
100%.
People get hurt. Shit like that.
Guess what happened to the Dodgers this year, Jared? They played out their full season, and in the last fucking week of the regular season, when the Dodgers were already in the playoffs, they're going to get in no matter what. Last week of the season, their fucking heart of the order, slugging all-star starter, first baseman Max Muncy gets hurt, reaching for a ball down the line. Hurts his elbow, can't swing, out for the playoffs. Shit happens. I'm not wishing injury upon anybody, but that's the point of these championships. I'm not telling LeBron to be miserable all the time. I'm not saying he shouldn't celebrate, but I think they did. Maybe his point is that they weren't able to have championship parades because of COVID. I don't know the angle he was going at, but it's not a good look. And it's definitely not a good look, because if you were to take the way LeBron,
you already have the fucking spotlight all the time.
And you were at the game, you were all over social media. Yeah,
you're on ESPN every 2 seconds. It's like, come on, that's another thing. Let the fucking Rams have their moment,
dude.
This is their championship. You have guys like OBJ out there winning their first ring, Aaron Donald getting his first ring, and it's like a lot of Matthew Stafford getting his first ring. It's like, just let them have their moment, dude. You're on ESPN all the time. You're on the fucking commercials for the game. You're in the new Space Jam movie that everyone hates. And you know what I mean? You already have so much spotlight. Like, why did you feel the need to fire that tweet off and take away from what the Rams had just accomplished, regardless if it was fucking superficial and plastic or not? They still won a ring. like just get your nose out of it for a minute. You have too big of a platform to be fucking pulling attention away
100%
from what they just achieved.
100%.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, and on top of that, well, I was just gonna say, like, you don't. If Twitter existed in the fucking 80s or whatever, or the 90s, and let's just say the Cubs won the World Series in like, or the Bears won the World Series, won the Super Bowl in 97, 98, or whatever. Do you think Michael Jordan would have gone on Twitter and been like, hey, I know we won the championship 2 years ago, but we should all have a fucking parade, Chicago? Like, no, it just wouldn't happen. And that's why LeBron gets so much fucking hate, man. And I don't hate the guy. I'm just saying he gives it to himself. He does it to himself, man. It's not us. I don't hate LeBron James. He's an unbelievable basketball player, arguably the greatest that's ever actually played the sport. But he's not as likable as the other guys because of this type of shit. Because he just makes it about himself. And that just sucks. It sucks so bad. At the end of the day, life goes on. It's just a fucking tweet, but I thought it was fucking garbage from LeBron. So we'll move on from that. We'll move on from the Super Bowl. It's over with. It was disappointing. It is what it is. It happens. But it's also a good segment too. The season's over. The rankings for, of course, as it always goes, season ends and all these fucking media outlets come out and they go, well, here's the rankings for next year. Like, how do you have the rankings already for next year? Looking at the ESPN early NFL power rankings, this came out yesterday. Okay, yesterday was Monday, the day after the Super Bowl. They put the Chiefs at 1, Bills 2, Rams 3, Packers 4, and the Bengals 5, and the 49ers 6th in their power rankings. Let's just run through that list really quick. Chiefs at 1, fine by me. Okay. Bills at 2, more than okay with that.
Good one too, yeah.
Rams at 3, Jared. The Rams at 3. I'm gonna freak out. OBJ, free agent. Aaron Donald, probably retired. Whitworth, retired. Von Miller, free agent. Cooper Kupp, amazing, but not going to put up the same fucking year. Zero first-round draft picks for the LA Rams. And you're telling me they're going to be better? They're going to be the third best team in the NFL next year? The third best team. There is no fucking chance. There is no chance. I'm not saying they're going to be bad, but I'm telling you, 12-5 is what they finished at. I think next year they're 11-6 or 12-5 again. Does that make them the third best team? Absolutely not. There's no fucking way. They were not the third best team coming into the postseason. They're not going to be the third best team next year. Horrible spot to put them. I mean, it's not like the end of the world, right? They're probably going to end up being 5, 6, or 7, but all the way up at 3, insane. The fourth ranked team. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm just saying that the only reasoning I could see behind that is because they literally just won. They literally just won the championship, so they have to show them a little bit of respect. They probably get a couple free booster points to go up. I don't think, like you said though, they're losing people. They don't have really, like, I mean, other than they have Stafford in the defense, but they don't in Cup obviously. And I guess if OBJ was there,
okay, but they have the defense because of Aaron Donald and Von Miller, and both those guys are going to be gone most likely.
It doesn't feel great.
Yeah. So
like
then
go ahead. Keep going.
I was going to say, then they have at 4 the Green Bay Packers. Now it gets to a point on this list where I'm just saying, don't even fucking release this list because it's so stupid. It's all based on assumptions. The worst part about this is they put him at 4, and the one paragraph they have is a descriptor for every team. Their whole offseason hinges on whether Aaron Rodgers wants to return. Then what the fuck are you putting him at 4? What is that about? Like, where do they go if tomorrow Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, I will be playing in Denver next season? Where do they drop to? They go from 4 to fucking 23. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. You literally can't do that, which is fine. I know that it's all for the argument's sake and for fucking people to click on the article and read, but it's horrible. Then you have the Bengals at 5. I don't hate it, but also the Bengals were a wild card team this year and they finished at fucking 9-7. Like, or 10-7. Like, let's just dial it back a little bit. Putting me at 5.
Let's pump the brakes. Yeah, there was, if the Chiefs, the Bengals are kind of an afterthought right now. If the Chiefs show up in the second half.
Correct.
If the Chiefs show up in the second half, they say they'll be good one day.
Correct.
That's what people say. The Bengals will have a chance to, actually compete for a championship and contend for a championship in the next couple of years as they build the offensive line around Joe Burrow and they get a little bit better of a defensive, they beef up the defense a little bit because obviously you can't take anything away from what that defense ended up doing. They actually ended up having a pretty damn great postseason.
Sure.
If you look at those games, that Chiefs game that they won could have fucking spun out of hand.
Oh, 100%.
If they score that touchdown before half, I mean, that game could have turned into a 42-17 game.
Well, Jared, who's an easier matchup for the Rams at home in the Super Bowl? The Bengals or the Chiefs? It's easily the Bengals. So again, maybe Mahomes just had a bad half of football. Maybe he's buying a sports car with the checks that the NFL cut him to say stop playing in the fucking missed 3 throws in the second half and go get your ring next year or something. I don't know. Bengals at 5. Not atrocious, but not great. Dude, at number 6, and the number 6 best team in the NFL next year, according to ESPN, is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. I know they just went to the NFC Championship. I know. But they went 10-7 with Jimmy Garoppolo, who is above average at quarterback, and he's gone. They've pretty much decided they're moving on from Jimmy G. So you're telling me Trey Lance is going to come in, basically a rookie, right? He's not a rookie, but it's a Mahomes situation where he was the backup for a year. Trey Lance is going to come in and lead that team to be the 6th best team in the NFL. There's just no fucking shot. There's no shot. Makes no fucking sense. The rest of this list is like whatever. Cowboys at 7, Titans at 8. Really hard for me to put the Cowboys above the Tennessee Titans when I feel like the Tennessee Titans are just built to win football games, and the Cowboys are in a fucking garbage can division and just get handed basically 6 wins a year in their division. But I don't know. Eagles are okay. The rest of that division's okay. I mean, and then they have the Cardinals at 10, the Chargers at 11, the Ravens at 12. I'm sorry. I'm putting the Ravens, Chargers, and Cardinals all above the 49ers. All 3 of those teams above the 49ers for next year. You kidding me? Justin Herbert's a fucking animal. If Kyler Murray leaves or not, I mean, the Cardinals that might be a one factor, right? If Kyler Murray leaves, who knows? They put the Patriots above the Chargers, dude. The Patriots made the playoffs. I know they made the playoffs, but they went to the playoffs and got fucking curb stomped by the Bills, and that was it. They got smoked. The Chargers would have put up a much better fight, and the Chargers are going to be better than the Patriots next year. That's just a fact. Now, are the Chargers coming to the Super Bowl? No, because the franchise is fucking cursed. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's destined. They want the 2 LA teams to win it back-to-back to prove that fucking football belongs in LA. Wouldn't surprise me either, but if you had to give your rankings next year for the NFL season, Jared, give me your top 5. Top 5 for the NFL season, starting at 5 down to 1.
Okay. Let me take a look here.
For argument's sake, let's say Rodgers is on the pack. Everyone stays where they were, right? Besides, of course, the actual free agents. I'm talking more about the guys that are like, Rodgers is
basically you're deciding who's 4 and 5. Because I think the top 3, if Rodgers is on the Packers, is like crystal clear.
You think the Packers are 3 if Rodgers is on the Packers, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think the Packers are 3.
So hold on. So read it. So read up.
2.
Okay, so hold on. So once you get your 5 and 4, I want you to read them all off. This is for usage later on. But 5 and 4, who do you got?
let me look. Let me scan and just kind of make a. Okay, here's kind of what I have, because here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that both the Cardinals and the Cowboys kind of like, they intrigue me to mix it into those spots. So do the Titans. Obviously the Bucks lost Tom Brady, so I don't know what the hell that team's gonna look like. But if Titans have Derrick Henry back, I think I put them at 5.
Absolutely.
The Titans at number 5. And then I would say the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals. I know that Kyler Murray kind of like was shaky at the end of the year, but I still think that team has yet to live up to its potential. And like I still think that they have a really good chance of being like they're kind of I have the same feeling with the Cardinals as I do with the Cowboys. Except I might actually switch that pick out and put the Dallas Cowboys at number 4.
Okay.
Because the Dallas Cowboys had their defense was fucking a brick wall.
Correct.
And they have so many weapons on offense. Dak Prescott is really fucking good. And yeah, they choke City, but like if they could put a full season together,
Oh yeah.
they could be unreal.
Oh yeah.
Because that's how I feel about that defense. It's like that pass rush. You just had the defensive rookie of the year. You had obviously, I know it's funny because Diggs had like led that league in interceptions, but he also got freaking roasted on coverage a lot of times.
Yep.
Like yards against him, so there's a little bit of refining to do there. But like, so when that team was going off, they could beat teams 50 to fucking.
They did.
They could put up 50 and give up 20 points.
They did. I think they had
in garbage time.
Yeah, they played a shit team. I mean, late in the year, but I remember I think they literally beat them like 50-3. Like that was one of the games they played. I mean, just.
So I'm gonna go. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and say
Titans
I'll
5.
I'll go Dallas Cowboys number 5, Tennessee Titans number 4.
Yep.
The Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers
at 3.
They're number 3. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs at number 2 because that defense is not good enough yet. And the Buffalo Bills, the number 1 team in the NFL. And that's because that defense is badass and that offense is obviously badass. What they need to do is they need to sign a fucking running back. Because
100%.
Like, I get it. They patchwork the whole running back situation. And Devin Singletary had some really good games at the end of the year, so I don't want to take that away from him.
Yep.
But they don't have a fucking Derrick Henry. And like a lot of these teams don't really have one of those guys yet. But like if you look at like at some of those top teams, you have Derrick Henry, you have a Joe Mixon. I mean, the Chiefs are kind of have the Edwards-Helaire situation. That's kind of not that pretty either. I like Green Bay's guys, Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
The Cowboys obviously have Zeke. The Cardinals, they kind of move around. They had actually James Conner played a fantastic
Great year.
You know what I mean? But they just need one of those elite running backs that gives them more of a ground presence, I think.
Yep.
And then you have Josh Allen mixed in with that. I think that's the team to beat next year, especially with Tom Brady gone. And then obviously I don't think the Chiefs defense is gonna gives me enough to say that they're number 1. Obviously, like you said, we have that picture of Patrick Mahomes throwing 50 touchdowns in his first year. That's hard to get out of our heads.
Right. Yep.
I think that's the team to beat next year is the Buffalo Bills. I would not be surprised to see them in a Super Bowl.
Great list. Okay, great list. So wait, so to recap, you had Cowboys 5, Titans 4,
Cowboys 5, Titans 4,
Packers with Rodgers 3, Chiefs, Bills. Okay, so my top 5 for next season would be, I would go. This is not going to sound great because the Cowboys have done nothing to earn this. But I go Titans 5. I go Cardinals 6. Okay. With Kyler Murray. Cardinals at 6. Titans at 5. Packers at 4. Cowboys at 3. Chiefs at 2. Bengals at 1. I just, like you said, I mean, holy shit. Let me do that again. Not the Bengals. No, not the Bengals. Cardinals 6, Titans 5, Packers 4, Cowboys 3, Chiefs 2, Buffalo Bills number 1 next year. That's my list.
Yeah. That's solid.
It's similar, right? It's similar. Just the
yeah,
Cowboys are just so in such a good spot. I mean, they're just like
yeah,
such a good spot. I mean, if they beat the 49ers this year, I know they choke, man, but we're not talking about that doesn't mean the Bengals. I mean, I'm sorry. I keep saying the fucking Bengals. It doesn't mean the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. That's just the end of the season. That's what the power rankings are going to end up. The Bills are going to be the number 1 team. Chiefs are going to be number 2, right? So I think the Cowboys may end up being the number 1 seed in the NFC next year. I really do. I know they haven't done anything to earn that, and that doesn't mean they're not going to fucking lose in the first round. But the Cowboys are fucking loaded. They are fucking loaded. Dude, they have Zeke Elliott, and he, on any team, obviously, like, he hasn't been the most productive guy, but they have Zeke, and then Tony Pollard, dude, would start on 22 NFL teams. Like, literally, he would start for the Bills. Yeah. Seriously. No offense to Singletary, but Pollard is better. Pollard is a monster, dude. Their depth is insane. Amari Cooper, fucking CeeDee Lamb, Cedric Wilson. Dude, they are loaded on offense. And then on defense, they just had Micah Parsons came out of nowhere and was just the absolute monster. Diggs is a monster. Dude, they're loaded. They're absolutely loaded. There's no reason why they shouldn't be the 1 seed next year in the NFC. That's just my opinion. I think the Rams could easily be the 2 seed, but I don't have the Rams. I don't have the Rams in my top 5 next year. I don't. And the ESPN has them at 3. I don't have them in my top 5 next year.
That's a recency bias. I just don't think. I mean, shit, they lost to the Seahawks twice. And their games that they won, it's like, I mean, they beat the Bucks. They damn near blew that game. You know?
Yeah.
But it's like that, like you said, they have the chance of also losing a lot of that team that they had this
It's
year.
not a chance, Jared. They are $8 million over cap right now.
Yeah.
Dude, they're going to lose. Okay, Whitworth is retired. He is gone, and he's arguably the best left tackle in the NFL. Aaron Donald may or may not retire. Who knows? Let's just say, for argument's sake, he's still there. Von Miller is gone because they're not going to be able to sign him. OBJ probably gone also. Also, by the way, OBJ is not gone for contract. OBJ has a torn ACL. He's done for next season. Like, he's not going to play. So who is their offense next year? Stafford and Kupp? I mean, you saw how I guess Kupp is just such a freak, but you saw how it unfolded for a lot of that second half. Like we talked about, 7 punts in that game. If there's no one else to complement Cooper Kupp, he gets fucking double teamed. That's why it worked so well with those two, right? When Beckham came over, he was a monster. So, yeah, I mean, that's where I'd have the NFL rankings. And then really quickly here, we'll go through let's just do top 5 at each position, and I'll give you a little bit. We're just going to do the four offensive positions: QB, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. And what I'll do is I'll read you off the top 5 quarterbacks. Not that this is a great indicator, but the top 5 quarterbacks as far as fantasy points go for this past NFL season, and then we can make our list. But the top 5 as far as total fantasy points this year in the NFL at quarterback: Josh Allen was 1, Herbert was 2, Brady was 3, Brady's gone, Mahomes was 4, Rodgers is 5, and then you went Stafford, Dak, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, you know, a bunch of sort of middle tier guys, right? You have Russell that didn't have a great year, got hurt. Yeah. Who's your top 5 quarterbacks going into next season?
Aaron Rodgers is number 1 for me still.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers is just his game sense, his game knowledge. If I could pick any, now that Tom Brady's gone, and I don't know if I would have taken Tom over him anyway this year.
Yep.
But like, obviously Tom had a freak year, but Tom had some way crazier weapons around him than Rodgers did.
Yep.
Rodgers had Devontae, and then he was throwing touchdowns to Allen Lazard
and Aaron Jones, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't have, Marquez, Valdez, Scantling. Like, that's the type of guys that Aaron Rodgers with and put together an MVP season. So I'm taking Aaron Rodgers coming off back-to-back MVPs. You have to take him at number 1. And then
wait, hold on. Let's go 5-1 like we did last time.
5-1. Okay. Then number 5 for me is going to be, I want to say Justin Herbert's going to be my number 5.
Okay.
And that's tough because this 4 and 5 position, it could the others, like, honorable mentions in my mind, obviously. you got to give it to Stafford. He actually did have a great year.
Yep.
His turnover, he's a little bit sloppy with turnovers. Joe Burrow had a freak year too.
Yep.
Obviously proved that he could win. So he's probably in that, like, right in that range. But like, just for the sake of, like, if I'm picking top 5 right now, Herbert threw for like 5,000 yards this year. I'm taking Herbert at number 5. I'm taking Dak Prescott at number 4. I'm taking Josh Allen at number 3, Patrick Mahomes at number 2, and Aaron Rodgers at number 1.
Okay. I love the list. I think the quarterback rankings for me with Rodgers depends on if he goes to Denver or not. If he goes to Denver, Rodgers is definitely my number 1. If he doesn't go to Denver, he may slip to 2 or 3 on my list because it's hard to put him. He's amazing, but I just here's my list, and you might not love it. I got Burrow at 5, Dak at 4, Mahomes at 3, Rodgers at 2, Josh Allen number 1. I think
I hate it all.
I think Josh Allen
guys are really interchangeable.
I think Josh Allen is so fucking good. I think he is so fucking good, and he's only going to get better, dude. And they're only going to build around him, and they're only going to want to add pieces. I would not be shocked, dude, if they traded for a fucking Tony Pollard. I mean, maybe not exactly Tony Pollard, but a running back that's high caliber. No offense to Singletary. Yeah. Maybe it's just a complimentary guy because they didn't have anybody besides Singletary. But you look at a lot of those quarterbacks that are on that list, they have like stellar running backs. If not one, they have like 2 that are really, really productive, at least towards the end of the year. Like Mahomes had Clyde Edwards and Jerick McKinnon running people over. Rodgers has, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. Dak has Zeke and Tony Pollard. Like, all those guys have huge lists. For me, with Herbert, I have him at 6. I think he's amazing, but Joe Burrow is just only going to get better. He's only going to get better. And I think Herbert's at 6 for me, for sure. But
it's Herbert and definitely Herbert and Burrow are like, they're almost interchangeable in that like 4 or 5, 4, 5, 6 spot.
Yep.
With Dak probably. And then the Josh Allen, Rodgers, Mahomes is probably that top 3 combo. And you could probably mix those up those top 3 in the 4, 5, 6 up in about any way, and I'd probably agree with the list in some sort of fashion. I think I do love the fact that you put Josh Allen at number 1, because out of those top 3, he's by far the most dynamic in terms of like his rushing ability. He's a
100%.
He's
like a runner with the football.
Can scramble. Yeah, Mahomes can scramble like a little bit, but he's nothing like Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a true like rushing threat.
Yep.
The guy punches in touchdowns on QB draws.
Yep.
And then he's fucking huge, and like, not to mention, like, you gotta like look back and remember, like, sometimes you see the end of the year stats, like, he played in some shit weather this year.
Oh,
he played in the Wind Bowl game. It's like, people don't really take that shit into account when you think about, he didn't even make it to 149 yards that night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he still threw for 4,400 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. So that night he didn't even make it to 149, and nobody really thinks about the fact that he was just throwing the ball through a fucking windstorm.
Josh Allen had 763 rushing yards this year.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, that's more than half the league's running backs.
Oh yeah, easy. Let's see.
It looks like the only quarterback that beat him was Jalen Hurts as far as running goes, but Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen are the only guys over 350. And Hurts is a running quarterback. I mean, Hurts had 16 passing touchdowns. Josh Allen had 36. But Josh Allen had 21 less rushing yards. Like, holy shit, man.
How many rushing yards did he have?
Josh Allen? 763.
Yeah, so he was up there. Well, it looks like obviously Lamar's up there too.
I missed Lamar. Yeah, Lamar has 767, but he's also a running quarterback, and he also only threw 16 touchdowns. Josh Allen threw
You know,
36 touchdowns.
yeah, like that's pretty wild. Like if you look at the kind of the list, you want to talk about that. It's like you have guys like Cordero Patterson who had a great year. You have guys like James Conner, Miles Sanders. Like there's a lot of running backs that he
Beat.
outdid. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact, yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are good lists. And it's a good transition to the running backs here. If you could, do you have a top 5? We don't have to dive into quarterback, the rest of these positions as much, because I feel like tight end's like super easy one, but
tight ends up there.
running backs as far as points go. Again, let me read you the top 5. Jonathan Taylor 1, Eckler 2, Najee Harris 3, Mixon 4, James Conner 5, and then you got Leonard Fournette, Zeke, Alvin Kamara, Cordell Patterson, Gibson, Aaron Jones. So, I mean, it starts to dwindle a little bit, but I have a guy that I think is top 5 that's not even in the top fucking 15 or 16 of points, but it's mostly because he was injured. But who's your top 5 from 5 to 1 running backs?
Okay.
Top 5 running backs.
Let me see. Yeah, let me think. All right, here we go. Top 5 running backs. I know what my number 1 and 2 are, and I actually know what my 3 are. So I'm just trying to think about 4 and 5. I know I'm gonna go. Man, this is tough. Once again, I'm kind of stuck with that same 3-4 that 3-4-5 or
4-5-6.
No, the 4-5-6. I'm stuck with that 4-5-6, and I'll give you the 4-5-6 just because it's easier for me to tell you this interchangeably. So I'll name the top 5 and then I'll go back. But I would say Austin Eckler number 5, Ezekiel Elliott number 4, Dalvin Cook number 3, Derrick Henry number 2, Jonathan Taylor number 1, and that's probably a little bit of injury bias in there because Jonathan Taylor has stayed healthy the whole year. I don't think that I know Chubb was up there in rushing yards this year. I don't like Chubb or Joe Mixon or Najee Harris in that top 5. And if I was gonna include like my number 6 in there, in my 4-5-6, it would be adding Alvin Kamara in there.
Yeah,
because of how dynamic he is. So like kind of an interchangeable 4-5-6 would be Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, and Austin Eckler.
So what's your 5 through 1? 5 through 1.
5 through 1 is Austin Eckler at number 5, Ezekiel Elliott at number 4, which is tough, but I know how good Zeke can be. I got Dalvin Cook at number 3.
Trying to fix my camera.
Derrick Henry at number 2, and Jonathan Taylor at number 1. And I get it, and there's I have a bunch of honorable mention guys in there.
Yeah,
between Najee Harris, Nick Chubb, and Alvin Kamara, they're all kind of right there. It's just tough sometimes. You see those guys, and then you're like, you watch one bad game by them,
Yep.
And then you see a guy like. I remember watching like Najee Harris was so nice, obviously, all year. He's a great player. He's playing for that team that just kind of Big Ben's just limped
He's
around
gone, and Big Ben's gone. Like, who's gonna throw him the ball this year? Mason Rudolph. Like,
there's one game I watched where Najee Harris was kind of got like he wasn't running the ball very well, and he was stopping at contact. And I lost my luster for him because I think about a guy like Dalvin Cook just fucking exploding through the hole.
Yeah, so that's So my top 5 would probably be my top 5 running backs would be Eckler at 5, McCaffrey at 4.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't really think about McCaffrey with the injury. That's another injury bias type of thing.
Yeah, McCaffrey.
He's kind of in that top 3 conversation, really.
Yeah, I would go Eckler, McCaffrey at 4, Dalvin Cook 3, Jonathan Taylor 2, and Derrick Henry 1. I mean, Derrick Henry is just a fucking. He's a freak. I mean, he's I love these other guys, and they had unbelievable years. But I mean, almost in any situation you would ask, an hypothetical with a running back, you need him to get a 4th and 1. You need him to get a big run on 1st and 10. You need him to, maybe the only thing Derrick Henry isn't spectacular at is receiving the ball, but he still catches passes.
Receiver.
Yeah.
I would go ahead and say, I don't know how many receiving yards Jonathan Taylor had this year, but
he had 360 receiving yards. Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I think Derrick Henry is more dangerous out of that.
I mean, if you go with receiving running backs, then you obviously say Eckler's one because Eckler had 740 fucking receiving yards. You know what I mean? Well, 8 receiving touchdowns.
If you're going with receiving,
but you're not. But you're not. We're doing just running backs.
I would say if you're going down that road, then you would have to say McCaffrey's. If you're talking about receiving running backs, you got to go McCaffrey, Kamara, Eckler,
right.
Those are, and then Najee on,
and probably fucking Najee, probably Aaron Jones, probably probably a ton of guys.
I mean, the fact is like last time that we had a full healthy season out of Christian McCaffrey, he was first team All Pro in 2 different positions. He was first team All Pro as a slot and as a running back.
His
slot was just him motioning out.
Yeah, here's a guy quickly that we can just touch on that neither of us even mentioned or even just batted an eyelash on. What, on a scale of, how do I even phrase this? In the final rankings of fantasy points, for argument's sake, where does Saquon Barkley finish next year?
Man, I don't know.
Because he would, dude, a healthy Saquon might crack my top 5. I'd put him in as super healthy over Eckler, to be honest.
I know that's the problem with doing these rankings. You're getting recency bias. It's the same thing.
But you have to stay healthy, though, dude. You have to stay healthy.
That's the thing. It's the same thing as those NFL writers putting the Rams at number 3. There's some fucking recency bias behind that, and it's like for me, it's like Jonathan Taylor jumped that list because Derrick Henry broke some shit in his foot. And when he came back, he didn't have like a super great game when he came back in the playoffs.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. There's definitely recency bias, and I know Dalvin Cook gets hurt too. But those three in my mind are like top tier like runners.
Yeah.
In terms of like overall old school pure rushing, those are my top 3.
Okay, moving on to wide receivers. 5-1. I'll start from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll start from number 10 down to 1. Fantasy points scored this year. Number 10 in fantasy, Hunter Renfrow was number 10 receiver in fantasy. Mike Evans was 9. Deontay Johnson was 8. Stephon Diggs was 7. Tyreek was 6. Jamar Chase 5. Justin Jefferson 4. Debo 3. Devontae Adams 2. Cooper Kupp number 1. So from 5-1, who are your top receivers?
Oh man, 5-1. I'm gonna go ahead and say, but this one's really tough on me because I obviously think Debo is the most explosive, but they play him as such a Swiss Army knife. I have a hard time including him as a pure like receiver.
But he's a wide receiver, so I'd put him on. He's in my top 5. So I mean,
yeah, I would go. All right, I would go. Hold on.
Yeah, who you got? Who you got?
Hold on, I have one more guy on here that I would go look at. Okay,
who you got?
I'm gonna go. Debo Samuel number 5.
Okay.
Tyreek Hill number 4. Cooper Kupp number 3, even though he had such a fucking massive year. And I know that's a tough one to say.
Go ahead. No, that's fine.
But Justin Jefferson number 2.
Okay.
And Devontae Adams is number 1.
And that is, and I know, assuming Rodgers is in Green Bay, obviously.
Yeah, assuming I'm just going off of kind of like this last year. And that's fucking tough to say because you have 145 receptions and almost 2,000 yards and 16 touchdowns. And I put you at number 3. I just think that offense gave him more targets. Well, I don't even know about target share, but he just had a better chance of catching the ball out there than Justin Jefferson did. I think Justin Jefferson does the same type, could have the same type of production there.
So who is your list? 5-1 again? 5-1.
Debo, Debo 5, Tyreek Hill 4, Cooper Kupp 3, Justin Jefferson 2, Devonta Adams.
Okay. It's not a bad list at all. I think I love Justin Jefferson. I think he's, like you said about these other positions, it's so hard to just, like, this fucking 4, 5, 6, 7 slots are just
There's so many interchangeable,
brutal.
Like, yeah.
I think I'm gonna go in my top 5. I'm gonna go Stephon Diggs, number 5.
I don't hit that at all.
I'm gonna go Stephon Diggs 5, Jamar Chase 4, Deebo Samuel 3, Devontae 2, Cooper Kupp 1. I think that's got to be my list.
Give me that list one more time.
So let's start at number 7. 7 is Justin Jefferson. 6 is Tyreek Hill. 5 is Diggs. 4 is Jamar Chase. 3 is Deebo. 2 is Devontae. 1 is Cooper Kupp. But it's so interchangeable with all those guys. It's hard to put Diggs above Tyreek Hill. It's hard to put him above Justin Jefferson. But I'm riding with fucking Josh Allen next year. And if Josh Allen is the number 1 quarterback that I listed him at, got to put Diggs in the top 5. Because that means Diggs is going to have a fucking monster year too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Tyreek is like one of those guys. It's just like,
dude, is Tyreek going to be on the Chiefs next year? I don't know. Do we know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. They're paying fucking.
They have to choose.
Is he a free agent? Right?
Yes.
Is he a free agent?
Him and Kelsey. Dude, they have to choose between basically him or Kelsey.
Both of them. I could see them letting Tyreek go.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
because the
dude.
receivers, Tyreek is super explosive, but
dude, they have Mecole Hardman.
The tight end is so much more of a limited position.
Exactly.
And a lot of these guys, like, it's like kind of like, it's tough to become a star without target share. These guys become stars because they get fucking, their quarterback starts trusting them and peppering them with the ball.
Yes.
They're all freak athletes. You give them enough targets, they're gonna fucking be able to ball, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Next position, last one. This one should be quick and easy, but tight ends, top 5. I'll give you the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hunter Henry at 10, Dallas Goedert at 9, Mike Gesicki at 8, Gronk at 7, Pitts at 6, Zach Ertz at 5, Kittle at 4, Dalton Schultz at 3, Kelsey at 2, Mark Andrews at number 1. Yeah, I think there's a very clear 1 and 2. I think
so too.
But go ahead, top 5 to 1. Who you got?
I need to get a list in front of me.
It's hard to put Gronk up there because he's just not gonna. Gronk might fucking retire for all we know, retire, right? Because he won't have Brady. So, I mean, I don't have Gronk in my top 5.
No, yeah, it's like he's kind of. I mean, he was nasty this year, and like obviously proved that he was.
Yeah, but he's kind of a product.
Okay, here's what I'm doing here. I know this is a little bit funny, but I'm gonna go.
He's thinking.
I'm thinking. I'm just looking at. I'm just scanning my list right here.
He's thinking.
I'm putting Kyle Pitts at number 5.
Yep.
I'm going Darren Waller, number 4.
Ooh, yeah.
George Kittle, number 3. Especially if they can get a quarterback that can fucking do something for him.
Yep.
I'm going. Oh man, that 1 and 2 is tough. I'm gonna go Mark Andrews at number 2 because he.
Wait, who is at 3? So you have.
George Kittle. I have Kyle Pitts at 5, Darren Waller at 4, George Kittle at 3. I have Mark Andrews at number 2, and I have Travis Kelce at number 1 because of Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not sure what the fuck the quarterback situation looks like. Obviously, you have Lamar Jackson, but I never know with Lamar Jackson. Like, is he going to bust out and have another MVP type of year? Is he going to throw fucking 14 touchdowns and rush for 600 yards and
Right.
throw 7 interceptions?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That team's confusing.
Yeah, I think that list is good. The only thing I probably do is do that exact list, but I bump out Kyle Pitts and put in Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz is a fucking monster.
I like Schultz too.
So I think my list for tight ends goes Schultz at number 5, Kittle at 4, Waller at 3, Andrews at 2, Kelsey at 1. I think that's a pretty, can't go wrong with that list. And again, dude, all those guys are very, very interchangeable. If Kittle has the year that he had a couple years ago, he might end up being the best. I mean, there was argument that he was the best tight end for a while. But with Kelsey most likely staying in Kansas City and becoming the number 1 target. It's hard.
No, I get that. And I get why you push Kyle Pitts out of there. I mean, the guy,
he had one touchdown.
One touchdown.
Yeah, he had one touchdown.
He only scored one touchdown. As a pure receiver, though, that's kind of a product of that fucking offense is all over the place.
He had one touchdown, but he had 1,000 receiving yards. So I mean, he had
it just seemed like touchdowns is such a obviously it's
you got to have it though.
You love the touchdowns because that's where the glory's at. Nobody really gives a fuck, especially when fantasy football. The guy has 110 yards and no touchdown. You're like,
cool, 10 point or 12, 15 points. Yeah, I don't care.
So I don't know. I think Kyle Pitts is a real shot. I just don't know.
For sure, no, he's at 6 or 7.
I would just love to see him in an offense that's thriving.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
I think he has the potential. If he's playing with an offense like some of these other guys, imagine fucking. Okay, so here's a question, and here's a good comparison for you. Would you rather have Kyle Pitts or Dalton Schultz if they're both in Dallas? You got to pick one.
Ooh, see, that's a good question. I'd probably go Pitts. Probably.
Yeah, you go Pitts with fucking Dak Prescott throwing.
Yeah.
Or you got to think about it like that. Like as a full on just straight up athlete. Like Dalton Schultz was obviously really good this year.
So where does Noah Fant end up if Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver? Does Noah Fant jump to the top 5?
I don't know because he
love Noah Fant. You love Noah Fant.
Sometimes when he catches the ball, he looks cool as fuck out there. He's huge. He's got a black visor on. He doesn't use his size as much as I'd like him to. He doesn't lower his shoulder into people because fucking looks like out of the guys that we talked about, he's like beefier. He's like Dalton Schultz type of beefy.
He's super thick. I mean? He's just a thick boy.
Yeah, so thick. So he's a bigger dude. Yeah. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what about. It's really hard to understand how good this guy could be when he had a wide receiver throwing him the ball at one point last year.
What about Albert Okwuegbunam? Does he jump to the? No, but I mean, there's a lot of good names on that list. Dawson Knox could end up having a big year.
Yeah, Dawson Knox just doesn't seem he just seems kind of like one of those touchdown scorer guys. He'll go for 40 yards each game, but he's always going to be a good touchdown scorer.
I mean, Tyler Higbee's a great tight end. TJ Hawkinson, really solid. Jared Cook's a good tight end. Uzama, I mean, Uzama's solid too. There's a lot of good tight ends, man. But I mean, I feel like the top 5, 6, 7 total is a pretty clear list. So yeah, I mean, we could do kickers if you want. We could we could do just flex players, not on the top 5. Just go fucking turn into a fantasy football show after the Super Bowl. No, but we'll that's pretty much gonna wrap up. I feel like any football talks that we'll probably have in the foreseeable future. Season's over. We're done. Super Bowl was a fucking crock of shit. I'm pissed about it, but no, it is what it is. We'll talk football when time comes. I mean, shit, who knows? Maybe the USFL grabs the country by the balls and fucking everybody's on it, but I highly doubt this league, this new football league will be the one that breaks the glass ceiling and finally captures the heart of America, because this is only the 19th time they've tried to start a secondary football league, and it's most likely not going to work. Yeah, it's not going to work. So
because if you can't make it in the other league, then why would we want to watch you in this?
Exactly. League? It's why it's like why don't we just watch college football? You know
what I want. You know what I want to, or what would make me watch it is if all of the guys only couldn't play football because they were fucking
juiced.
nasty fellas.
Yeah. Yeah, the Mean
or
Machine.
something cool like that.
They were all just the Mean Machine. Yeah, I would watch it. I would watch it if they took out roughing the passer. I would watch it. Like, there's like no flag at any. I mean, besides like kicking him in the fucking balls, that's like the only thing you can't do. No kicking or biting. Otherwise, you can hit the quarterback as hard as you want. Then I would probably watch it. But yeah, that wraps up football talk. The last subject that we won't spend very much time on is baseball. Not a whole lot of updates. Today is February 15th when we're recording. Pitchers and catchers were supposed to report today. That didn't happen. Baseball continues to repeatedly and consistently fuck itself over. I don't know if it's baseball, as a broad statement, because it sounds like the players want to play. Manfred obviously doesn't give a fuck about anybody except for the owners. The owners are talking about cutting down the number of players in each organization. They're talking about cutting fucking payroll, cutting all this shit, revenue sharing. Dude, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but it, once again, doesn't seem like they are even fucking close. Like, it is February 15th. They've had a few meetings. It doesn't seem like they are even remotely close to a deal. So that is not promising, to say the least. Will we have baseball this year? Yes. Will we play a full season? Most likely not. Rob Manfred had a statement, I believe it was on Thursday, a press conference, and he said that the start of spring training has not been delayed. It doesn't plan on it being delayed. I don't know where the fuck his head is at, but it's going to be delayed, and baseball is in a bad spot. On top of that, on the topic of baseball, you have this hearing going on right now with Tyler Skaggs and his passing. There was I guess it was a court hearing, or I'm not really sure. They testified. Four former players testified at the Tyler Skaggs trial. Basically, I think his family may have sued, or prosecutors. Man, I don't know the full details, and I apologize for kind of screwing this up a little bit. But the bottom line is, I believe there's some sort of lawsuit between the Skaggs family and Major League Baseball or something similar. And 4 different players that played with Tyler Skaggs testified today, saying that they took and bought and received these sort of painkillers, recreational drugs from the Angels employee that was providing those for them. So, I mean, baseball is just at the bottom right now, and it sucks because now's the time where everybody starts looking forward to baseball, and it's just not happening. We've said it a million times. They're kicking themselves in the dick over and over, and it is what it is. Nothing we can do about it, Jared. But next episode, what I do want to touch on is some baseball preview. Hopefully by then we have a little bit more positive news, but even so, we'll have enough time to go into what I'm hoping to do for our viewers and listeners is to do divisional breakdowns. So next episode, maybe we just start with the American League East, go through each team, go through where we see them, their future, because they did release, I will say, the top 100 prospects for this upcoming season. So that's something to discuss and relevant to these teams, because somehow the Dodgers are just basically number one and also just have the most money and the best fucking players. So that sucks, but we'll dive into all of it. We'll get into it, but
yeah.
For the meantime, go ahead.
Let's jump into it next time.
Yeah.
It's not a whole lot of like leeway being made, but all I know is that these guys are basically supposed to be in fucking spring training right now. So
yeah, and they're not.
They're not. So
yeah.
Well, let's dive into that next episode, because I gotta. But
right. Well, either way, thank you guys so much for listening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the football conversation that we've pretty consistently had over the last 7 episodes. We really enjoy talking sports, and we hope you guys enjoy listening. We're pretty much done with football. Looking forward to next season. Gave you our kind of closing comments, final rankings for everything. A lot can change between now and obviously the first week of the NFL season. But we're going to start turning our heads towards baseball. We will talk a little bit of basketball as basketball starts to heat up, even though it is just so inconsistent and miserable to bet on. As Jared knows from my complaints. But it's still fun. And hey, we have March Madness, so we'll come out with probably some brackets or something related to that. So otherwise, thank you guys for listening. For those of you who did, Jared, it's always been a pleasure to talk football with you. Now it's time to turn to baseball and some basketball. And everybody listening, you're all a bunch of phenomenal fans. Hopefully you did bet the under in the Super Bowl because it hit. Even though, because you should never bet the under ever.
We told you not to.
Yeah, but bet the under, or bet if you're gonna bet, don't bet the under. Just bet the over and take an alternate line. Just go over 43, over 42.5. You win, right? Just buy points and bet the over.
Yeah, I looked at that and the parlay I released for the Super Bowl could have bought it down to 42, no problem.
Yeah, so just buy points for the over. Buy points for the over instead of betting the under. It's just easy, simple math. So thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. Jared, bet the under if you want, I guess. I don't know. Try to avoid it, but don't bet it as much as the over, because the over is the best bet of the game every time.
Every time.
We'll catch you guys later. Thanks for listening.